we will wait a few minutes, see what happens,
Get off of here, you piece of shit.
and see if it's any better.
What is up with YouTube? It's really YouTube's really making me upset.
Well, it's the risk of YouTube, Brent, Alex.
It's better.
It's better?
Fixed.
Okay, it's fixed.
But it's blurry. Hold on.
Is there any chance that the camera's blurry?
I think it's a chance that this is on auto 144p instead of high quality.
Hello, Kaylee. Thank you for coming back. And Diane, yes, something's going on with YouTube, and it's not pretty. It's not a good situation. So, anyways, what I was explaining, not blurred here. Okay, was blurred before. Weird. Don't know what happened.
It's just totally blurry on my end.
Oh,
But that's because for some reason the Wi-Fi is just, we haven't went and got the new Wi-Fi equipment.
Okay.
So
okay, we'll do that. We have to pick up some new Wi-Fi equipment, and so that should be better going forward. Background is focused. You no longer look like a bad claymation. Thank you. All right. So what I was saying before YouTube so rudely caused us to shut down is that I have a hometown newspaper. It was sold. It was sold a few years back to, I believe it's USA Today, the parent corporation of USA Today. And it has basically become a smaller version of that. But I didn't know what that was. Thank you. I'm so sorry we had to redo this. If anybody feels like sharing this out, typo 360 degrees. 360 degrees. Okay. So when it was sold to this big corporation. We have a huge building here for production of a newspaper. We had a complete staff. It was a wonderful facility. It employed reporters. It employed production personnel. We had a woman who every Saturday or Sunday would answer the phone and tell us why our newspaper wasn't on the front porch in my box. Okay, so now it is a problem because we no longer even have this hometown newspaper produced in Eugene. It's produced in Portland, 2 hours away. It's just going right here, Brent, Alex. And so, Fairy Dust, glad you made it back. So we have this huge facility that's no longer in use. And I'm just going to say this one-time negative word. It's now a bullshit newspaper. It's embarrassing. I'm shocked. So for instance, one would think that the front page of a newspaper would talk about, in my opinion, from what I've experienced in, the majority of my 60 years. Oh, good. Yes, we're charging from do it. I have to do it all the time. Talk about world circumstances. It helps. Ideally, a hometown newspaper helps people. They know that they're who they are catering to. They're the neighbors, their friends, their relatives. Yeah. Yes. Well, we don't get that anymore. We don't get that anymore. Today's isn't so bad, but I always look at what is the headlines of our local newspaper because I want to know what's going on in the world. And today's was about it's like I said, it's not so bad, but because it's it's an issue that I don't think needs to be on the front page. It could be in the city section. I'm just saying this because I don't know if y'all read anything in print anymore, but I'm telling you, we had a great newspaper, and now once this subscription is up, I will never get it again, and we're getting ready to lose it. In my opinion, it should just be shut down. You cannot get anybody local there, and I'm not meaning this in the way that it could sound. It's somebody offshore who doesn't know where Eugene is, let alone my newspaper that should have been in my box. So anyways, so what I'm going to go on and do is I'm going to talk about, so be careful with your newspapers, all I'm saying, and watch out if you get bought out by a large corporation, because that is part of the problem. All right, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk individually about some of these things that I put on the thumbnail, because I don't use my thumbnail simply as a, come over here and watch. Right. Oh, they've taken out letters to the editor, Kaylee. They no longer include letters to the editor. I don't get it. Published weekly, sold out, now online only. So we can get an online only version, but there was just kind of accidentally, we ended up paying for a subscription past the due date of it being simply just an offer, like $1 for 6 weeks. And I didn't get it shut off in time, and so they charged us $36. And they no longer refund money. Zero. There's under no circumstance does this company now refund money. So all the mainstream news is BS today. They tell us what they want us to hear and expect us to automatically believe what they're promoting. Sorry to say. And I would agree with you. I agree with you on that. It's an unfortunate situation. But so I learned, one of the things that I'm grateful for that I did go to college late in life is that I learned you have to dig. So I may get a headline I look at that interests me. And however, we have to go way below that, just digging underneath all of it. So, and by the way, the publisher is in, I believe the publisher of this newspaper now, they're in the South somewhere. I think they're in somewhere in Georgia. I think they're out of Atlanta, USA Today, wherever it's out of. I really lost interest in news, but on the other hand, it's good to be aware of what's happening, such as will prices go lower? As far as I can see, and as far as all the indicators are, is these prices, we're going to see this get worse and worse and worse over time. There's nothing that says it's going to get lower. And there's many reasons for that. A couple of them are the prices of delivering the goods, to a location from other well, looky who stopped by to say hi.
Hi, everybody. I couldn't figure out how to use my phone. I was trying to go to your site and it wouldn't work. So I thought I'd come in here and tell everybody hello. Hi, everybody.
Well, thank you for coming by. That way they see you're still here. You're still kicking.
I am alive.
He is alive. No true reporters left. I agree. And yes, they're paid to say certain things. So, exploit political influence. And Fairy Dust says hi, Richard. And Dee and Kaylee. So absolutely. So that influence matters, they believe, and they're really don't think people are looking at this stuff any deeper than what they see on the front page, and many people aren't, unfortunately. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go in and start looking at some of these things that I was curious, that brought my curiosity up. All right, I'm going to start here with let's talk about this here. So earthquake death toll surpasses that's just 46,000. 46,000. 345,000 apartments destroyed in Turkey. And survivors are pulled from the rubble. So there's hope, but do you believe that we're ready for a crisis here in this country, another crisis where we need to have help? Let's say I live along a fault line. So Oregon, we're going to be split in half. And it's the preparedness end of this. How prepared are we as a nation? Well, as a world, obviously some countries have more preparedness thought than others. And then on down to our country, which I don't believe we are at all for the most part, and on down to our city, our state, and our city. What I did is I wrote emails to the state and the county emergency management people to see, for instance, I was curious if Oregon or the county has a plan in case we were to be exposed to radiation of any sort, whether it be a suitcase bomb or it be another kind of a bomb or attack. Nobody has bothered to write me back. They just don't care. They don't answer to anybody. And so it's less likely that they're going to answer a question from a constituent. Now, I'm of the mind we just simply get rid of people who aren't willing to answer questions. But these are not people who are voted in. These are people that are lifetime civil servants. Okay. And I'm grateful for people like FEMA for, we need to have that. But I would think that they'd be willing to tell a constituent of a state, a county, the only people who has any kind of preparedness plan in case of a major emergency, including radiation exposure, is the city of Eugene. I called our biggest school district because I've got grandnieces and nephews in this school district. I asked them, do you have a plan in case of an emergency with radiation? And guess what they said? First of all, the man did not know. And then he told me that they would take direction from the national FEMA or emergency management personnel at the national level, state and national level. It would be nice if the state would at least tell its citizens what plans are. Okay. So, yeah, 7.8 magnitude. I don't know that we have our buildings likely here would withstand a 7.8. But I'm not sure. We don't have a lot of overpasses, luckily, and I can get out of where I live very quickly. I could go north, south, east, or west. Luckily, I know this area well, and I could go so many ways to get out of my community. When we were having wildfires a couple of years ago, I went out and drove around in the middle of the night because I was a little concerned. More than a little concerned. I miss real reporters like Harry Reasoner. Yes, and I love the guy who, the rest of the story. I love that man who did the rest of the story. Fairy dust. I live right on top of the Andreas Fault. Are the heads prepared, military? Are they prepared, etc.? Yes, that's a good question. Very good question. Smaller fault line. Howdy, Roy and Becky, whoever you are, whichever one you are, I'm glad you're here. My brother used to live in a high desert Yeah. I have legitimate concerns. Julie, let me go back up here. Julie, Paul Harvey, then the rest of the story. He was my hero for a long time, and he still is at that level. The rest of the story is always important. I couldn't get out fast. Area is congested, poorly designed, no evacuation planned routes. Yeah. So even people who are living off grid, I'm sure that everybody, I'm not sure what would happen other than floods, the flooding, the big rains in Arizona. So Julie, I don't know you. I'm looking at your picture and your name. I'm going to have to check you out later on. But thank you for coming by. I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. If we have a massive quake, that would destroy roads, pavements, roads, highways will buckle up or open, no escaping. Are we prepared? I don't think so. I don't think so. So I just suggest that we find out. One of the things is that we find out from our local people, be it city, county, state, what kind of plans do you have? Oh, I know what it was. The Eugene School District told me that to his knowledge, there was no plan. This is head of facilities. Facilities being, in my opinion, all of the buildings that encompass the Eugene School District. He said there was no plan. I had it on speakerphone. I had other people listening. And I cannot tell you how frightening it is to hear the person in charge of all the buildings in this Eugene School District say they have no plan for any kind of radiation leak. So where we live is I really wish we lived more in the country. I do like having I can get to wherever I need quickly, but I really do wish we lived in the country more than we do. We're on the outskirts of Eugene. We're north of Eugene, downtown Eugene by about 6 to 8 miles, like into the center of Eugene. We live in a suburb north of Eugene called Santa Clara. And 1.5 miles up the road from me is Fred Meyer, Albertsons, Dairy Queen, Burger King, all the bigger stores like that are right nearby. Yes, unless that acreage broke up or there was we have a lot of country here in Oregon, as you well may know, and we end up losing trees and grass and people and animals to wildfire almost every single year. RV Grandma Charlotte, growing up in Tualatin, Oregon, I remember not just having fire drills, but drills on what to do if Mount Hood blew for earthquakes. We just told to duck under the desk. Duck under the desk. My memory is of getting under the desk in case we were attacked by Russia. Do they still have those desks in schools today? I don't know. So it really concerned me. So let's move on to another one of the issues here. All right. This might want to concern a few people. U.S. declares Russia committed crimes against humanity in Ukraine. Now, so Reuters is it is a news wire that is reliable and responsible. I have never seen a clickbait kind of thing. These are real reporters, and so I do trust them. But I looked also further behind this, and yes, that it has been declared. I was curious. So we all have heard of the Geneva Conventions. And so I was curious about who manages the Geneva Conventions, because here we are. Russia is on the doorstep of War Crimes Tribunal. All right, so who's in charge of that? And I found out it is the United Nations. It is under the umbrella of the United Nations. And then there is a governing board and whatnot. So the UN is in charge of that. My understanding as of the last day or two is that Vladimir Putin pulled out of the oh, good Lord. My brain has too many things rolling around in it right now. The conventions, they don't have representation, he said, there at the UN. And so, which I'm not sure about that. I didn't look at that yet, but and they're not going to be held to the Geneva Conventions. So that means it's a free for all. Now, I always wondered, just as a kid, my father being in the Navy, and brother-in-laws, I have brother-in-laws that were in the military. I was supposed to go in the Navy when I graduated high school, but I've said this too many times. I got a boyfriend and I decided not to go in the Navy. It was a foolish thing, by the way. And so I have heard about the Geneva Conventions and I've read over the Geneva Conventions. And so it's something that's always kind of interested me. And I've wondered, how could another country enforce rules, about war? War is war. It doesn't seem like war is a fun place to be ever. Never should be a last resort. However, my point is, we are now declaring them to have committed crimes against humanity. That puts us in a bad space with Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation, which could bring its own level of problems. Of multitude. All right. Let me get back over here to StreamYard. Cruising is fun anytime. I can absolutely imagine that. I can't wait to go on a cruise someday. My husband does not like the ocean. We like the ocean. He does not want to be out on the ocean. So we're going to have to take like a cruise on a small lake, maybe on a boat, a skiff. Just kidding, Richard, if you can hear me from there. Now I was thinking eventually of a river cruise. Maybe some point in time, and that will get him used to the idea of how fun it could be. We had air raid drills. We'd proceed out to the hallway, sit in the backs against the wall, knees up and closed, head tucked down, covered with our arms, eyes closed, supposed to help us survive radiation. So that's kind of funny. So in a crisis like that, the best place a person could be is to, first of all, be away from windows, get to the most inner part of where you live or where you're at. So theoretically, most schools are made out of kind of thicker material, and getting children away from the windows, yes, that would be a primary thing to do. In preparedness, my research has been, that I would like to get some thick visqueen so that if we had any warning, ideally, you would tape up your windows and your door and turn off your, like if you have air conditioning, like a heat pump, we do, but that's another story right now. We don't have a heat pump any longer. We do not have heat, nor I'm going to do a video about it. So, we have heat, but it's in the form of space heaters right now because I am short about $10,000 to $12,000 to put in a new heat pump. So anyways, to then find the most inner spot in your house and find a way to kind of lock yourself in, where you, of course, would have access to a bathroom. The more layers you can put between you and potential radiation, the better. The more layers. Any layer is better than no layer at all. They can charge Putin all they want. He will never be brought to trial because people are afraid of nuclear attacks by him. 100%. I believe that to be the case too. Charlotte. I believe that to be the case. It's definitely going to be, he's going to be an issue for as long as he's there. Now, if I were in charge, I know that we have special ops people that could manage the situation given the opportunity in the right place at the right time. And I'm not suggesting, I know what that suggests. Some people are just so dangerous to the world that they should be at least put in a position where they cannot be a threat to the world. And if that means in a room, someplace where they can't harm anybody else or themselves, then that's the way it should be. All right, let's look at something else. All right. All right, here we go. So this we've heard a lot about in the last couple weeks. So, that's not the right one. That's not the right story, but it's leading to that. So it was about the train derailment in Ohio. There's also been one in Texas, and I believe there was a second one in Ohio before this really problematic one. And let's pull it up here. Okay, chemical disaster. So I have been following this very closely, at least in the most recent days. In the last week, I've really tried to pay close attention to it because this is extremely frightening. I live, as a crow flies, about a half a mile from the train tracks. And, my father was a local fireman, and we were always trained, that there could be, and we live, about 3/4 of a mile to a mile from this, where there's these big, giant things with gas in them. They're big cylinders, huge. Okay, 3 of them, and they've been there my whole life. There doesn't appear to be any major security around them, by the way. Zero, done. I've driven by them my whole life. I have never seen, I don't think there's even a locked gate, and these are filled with stuff, flammable stuff. And so it concerns me. And they're right, by the way, they're right on the front side of the railroad tracks. How many, was that the one I meant to pull up? Okay. The recent Ohio train derailment in which carriages from a 150 car freight liner carrying toxic chemicals crashed off the tracks in the town of East Palestine is just one more than a dozen rail accidents reported to have already taken place in the U.S. at the start of 2023. And it wasn't the first in Ohio this year, according to Newsweek. There was another one in January. So here's the deal about this. People wearing hazmat suits telling the average everyday person that their water's safe, that their food is safe. Apparently, there's also a large food processing plant there. What are they going to process going forward? If I knew I was going to be getting something from that area, I wouldn't eat it. So what are some of the options we have? What are some of the options? First of all, this here, I'd leave and I would not look back. I would take some clothes with me. I'd buy new toothpaste. I would, so it's a life and death situation for people, whether or not I think that they're coming to terms with it, but the world around is being told that it's no big deal. Okay. What I've read on mainstream news is that it's just no big deal. They're testing, EPA is testing, and everything is okay. The people who live there are saying otherwise. Do I trust my life in the hands of these people? No, I do not. I don't. Okay, so it's not that so there's good people in the government. There's wonderful people. There's people who've given their whole lives and they want nothing but the best. But they're not the people in charge. I don't believe they're the people in charge. And the people in charge are, it feels like trying to cover someone's butt. We have already talked about that. I wonder if the derailments were sabotage designed to create terror and chaos. I wonder. Why would they want to create terror and chaos? So there's other things going on right now, things that are a little more brushed under the carpet, like the cashless society that we're really moving into. Maybe there's other things going on. There's other investigations going on that who knows how, the smoke was horrible. It was terrifying. I can't imagine what it was like to live right there, Every decade since industry began in America alone, they put out chaos. They kick back and wait for our reactions. Then they act so sweet and try to find solutions. You are like the 100th person, Bernie, that has said that. Exactly. They create the problem and then they come up with a solution. And it's not because they like us so much. There is more involved. I don't know what that more is, but my gut instinct tells me there is more involved. And the more that I listen to other people that, they're not people who are into conspiracy theories at all. They're not conspiracy theorists. The more I question, what is it that they're trying to take our focus off of? Now, I know there's an election coming up, and I'm dreading that election, by the way. I am dreading that election. I'm with you. I don't know. I don't know how somebody in a hazmat suit can be telling other people that it's safe. I would offer them a drink and say, you go ahead. And when you find out what's going on with you in a year, I might consider it. Because people in fear may easily cowed to follow orders they otherwise wouldn't. Yes. So we've had balloons or some kind of object floating around the skies over North America. They've shot them down. They can't find them. Really? They can't find them? I'm curious. Do you believe, which you can believe it. Do you believe that they can't find these objects? That they never could say were balloons? To my knowledge, I've looked at this a lot. I can't find them saying definitively, other than the one off the eastern seaboard, that they were what they were. Good people up there, smoke out our eyes. I've woken up on how all works. Very sad, but very real. Yes. So it is frightening. So one of the things, raise taxes, political parties blaming other parties. I don't believe for a minute they can't find the debris. Absolutely. These people are too good at what they do. So I saw a meme and it showed this Native American fellow. And then there's like I believe there was an eagle or a bird of some sort. It said, what the left wing and the right wing, this is a summary, okay? What the left wing and the right wing forget is they belong to the same bird. I think there's at the deepest roots of parties, I think there's nothing that separates them. Because as my son-in-law would say, if he were sitting here and he was in a rant about this, it bottom line, it goes to money. It goes to multinational corporations that are encouraging people to go into debt to the tune of hundreds and hundreds, if not millions of dollars to make sure you have a big house payment, a big car payment. And by the way, giving loans to, in some cases, not all cases, giving loans to people that can't pay, and they know pretty well that they can't pay it, and they still give the loan. And so, unfortunately, they, meaning those people at the top of the tier, the three people or so that really run the world. That's facetious, of course, but I think it's less than, I think it's a very few people in the reality of things that are at that money level and are able to be in control of so much. We've already experienced this in the past 3 years, Kaylee. Yes. If they were $12 hobby balloons, those missiles would destroy them. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So trying to stay alert, be aware of what's going on, making certain that if you can grow some of your own food. So even people who are traveling. So Pandemonium, she has her ranch up there in Arizona, but she also has some vegetables that are growing while she's traveling, and she has them right there, and she just puts them out onto the ground or wherever. It can be done if we want to do it bad enough. I am not in a good mood about this. We've had snow. Okay, it's not here right now, but we are supposed to have it 3 times this week. We can do nothing until there's no risk of freeze. Friends, I can't. And I'm not happy. I love the snow. I wished I lived in a snow region where there was like at least 3 or 4 seasons, because we don't really get it much anymore, but we don't. And so certain people I know that are my relatives, my little sister Priscilla, loves the snow. And if I dare to say I wish we did not have snow, I'm sending her off the deep end. Okay, Dee. All right. You have a good rest of your day. Don't leave because of that. Please. So we may offend each other at times. I don't think that my beliefs are necessarily 100% anybody else's, and 100%, nobody else's are 100% mine. But what I've learned to do, and I want to do, is respect that there can be differences, but these are very real, as you well know, these are very real issues that are facing us today, and a world on fire, so to speak. Why is that? There's an underlying question for me. Why is that? But I respect that, that you're concerned about that. But again, unless only thing I don't tolerate is attacks on anybody. Fairy dust. Kaylee. Yeah, yes, she does. She even grows some veg and lemon tree inside her rig while traveling. Yep. I love that lemon tree. I'd love to get a Meyer lemon tree. They're just small and they go on your counter. If I grew a lemon, I would have a heart attack, I think, because it would be so uncommon here, especially. I'm a grown woman. I can handle reality as it's written. Yes, me too. And by the way, I used to not. I embarrassed myself. My oldest sister, who's about 13 years older than me, she passed 5 or 6 years ago, Linda. She had very strong opinions, and commonly they were opposite mine. And we both embarrassed ourselves, but since she's passed and can't defend herself, she loved me. We loved each other very much. She lived in Tacoma, Washington, and I was closer to her than sometimes sisters that lived in town, other than my little sister. I saw her more often than them because she loved being down here. She missed Oregon. She never wanted to live away, but her husband's job was too good with Weyerhaeuser to not live in Tacoma. So, like fruit trees. Yes, me too. We have growing out there blueberry bushes that were planted many eons ago. We still have berry bushes. And Richard said, I believe we have some blackberry bushes. I think. If I knew that, I would really be. You know me, I'm too outspoken. See you later. Love you all. Love you too, very much. And while I'm outspoken too, I am learning to find a way to respect somebody else may not believe this stuff. And that's, that's okay. It's one of the things I love about this country. Kaylee, love has to conquer all. I know two sisters that are opposites politically. They've been estranged from each other because of it. So not worth it. Oh no. And there have been times in my own, so my family has a private family messenger page. And trust me, I am the only person who's conservative in my family, though my little sister has some conservative views. Okay. We don't disagree. So it's not so much that we disagree on everything. We just have different views on how to get to that point. And so, but she was always, my little sister, being the youngest of 6 female siblings, she was at the bottom of the heap. And I was extremely overpowering. And as were a couple other sisters. And so she was never allowed to kind of, I guess would be the best way to say it, to have her say, to have her own beliefs. Or if she did, I'm sure we knocked him down. Okay. It's just, I was an idiot young person. And so now she's gotten older and she has developed her own beliefs. Thank you, God. I'm glad she does. And so she's kind of learning how to maneuver that. If she was here, she was bullied into silence. I think so. She probably, that's exactly what she would say. Our mother was a yeller. I mean, extreme yeller. And Priscilla, no kid likes it, but Priscilla was especially sensitive to it. And so she would never test the waters with our mother, ever, never. I worked for Summer Weyerhaeuser here in the City of Industry, and my ex also worked at Weyerhaeuser at one time, but a small world. Yes, it is. Larry worked in communications for Weyerhaeuser, and he would go, at times, he would have to go to different locations in the country and fix the problems or connect things up. When we were going to go into Y2K, he told me, because, we were getting ready for the big problem. And he said, my middle name is Kay. My family still calls me Kay. Okay. I started using my name Lucretia when I turned 18 and graduated high school. And I thought it's more of an adult name and I want to be an adult. So I'm going to use Lucretia. Hence Lucretia's World. So Larry said, Kay, do you not think with the billions of dollars at stake for Weyerhaeuser, we have not run drills about this over and over for several years now, coming up to Y2K? He said, there is not going to be a meltdown in our world over it. He said, it's just not going to happen. There's too many corporations that have investments of massive amounts that will never let that happen. And so they ran these drills for years coming up to Y2K. It made, it did make sense, but it was still scary, Yeah, she was bullied into silence. She very much has. And she has, like I said, her and I have many of the very same, I'm a moderate liberal. I don't know what to say. I'm a moderate liberal. There's things that bother me, but overall, I want to see people have health care, have, if they can't take care of themselves, to have a way for that to happen. There's just a lot of things that owned facility when I was young. Yeah, I mean, it's a massive corporation, of course. So so those are some of the, some of those the issues involved there. Let me see what I've got here. Can you hear the birds? Now, this is something that I just ran across today, and it does concern me. So, Discover Card is going to start enable tracking of purchases at gun stores. I realize people have different feelings about self-protection. I totally understand why all of those reasons would be. Unfortunately, this disgusting niche of people that have done grave damage to the youth of this country, not just in the mass shootings, but the everyday shootings in places like Chicago. I mean, Chicago comes to mind because I do know that they have many shootings over a week. We can't even comprehend. I guarantee if somebody looked it up right now, last weekend you would be shocked at how many people were shot and killed in Chicago. I also know there's other places where it's extremely bad situation. But for the most part, the average person who has a self-protection tool is not a mass shooter, is not out, gang banging, shooting their opponents in the world of gangs. We are responsible people. And here we have a major financial institution going to start tracking sales at these places. So if I had a Discover Card, first of all, good heads up for the Discover Card people who want to purchase without it being tracked by their financial institution, I would go take the money out of the bank and I would just go pay cash at the gun store. So, I mean, there's going to be ways around this until we go to a cashless society, which is, I think, coming down the pike. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So, I don't know what y'all think about that, if this is a good thing or a bad thing. In some ways, it could obviously be useful. But I'm not sure that most criminals go buy their guns at gun stores. And the reason I'm pretty certain about that is I know some people who have been in prison, who've been involved in gangs, who have criminal backgrounds. And not one weapon did they get from a gun store. They don't get them from gun stores. Now, I can think of one person who probably did, and that was the mass shooter out of Las Vegas. The man in Las Vegas very well likely did, if I remember correctly. So this is just something to have on your radar, to be paying attention to, and be maybe thinking about, do you support that or not? Which you can. If you think it through, here's what I try to do. I think through what I can live with, and when I lay my head down on my pillow at night, if I can live with that, then I'm okay with it. Uh-oh. Just got to get rid of that. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So not labeling yourself is really the best way to be. I mean, if I did not have to register in order to vote in the primaries in the state of Oregon, I would not be registered for either party. I've been a registered Democrat and I've been a registered Republican, and you have to be one or the other, or you can't vote in the primary election. And I'm not having that right taken away, which I believe should be illegal to start with. So should cold coffee, unless it has ice in it and it's intentional. Yeah, we just have to be, I have had to learn how to be tolerant of someone else's beliefs. And guess what? If I want you to be tolerant of mine, I better be well able to tolerate yours. Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws, yet have the highest shootings. Guns don't kill people. I get my new one tomorrow. My background check was going to be in yesterday, late yesterday, but he wasn't sure if it would be in before he closed at 5, and they're not open on Sundays. And so it will be available to me tomorrow. Here's the deal. And I've never done this, nor would I do this on a live stream. But YouTube, if a person has a weapon on a live stream, a projectile weapon, their live stream will be shut down, and likely their ability to do live streams will be shut down. It doesn't matter. Nothing's going to be taken into consideration. Maybe you're doing a live stream in the middle of Chicago on a Saturday night in order to show the world what it's going on there, and you have your own self-protection. If it is viewed, your live stream will be shut down, and you will potentially never be able to have another one again. Yeah, you think perhaps not labeled as gangsters, but we need to. But as we see how the world is turning, the leaders are fighting power. Yes, are fighting for power. Yes, and starting this Thursday, this is a commitment. So let me finish this, and then I'll talk about what happened this week. Well, I didn't have one on Thursday. Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't care, by the way. I did not care. I didn't care about anything political till I had a child. I did not. Now he's 33. God. He's 33. I had him when I was 30. 29. Maybe I had him when I was 29. No, I had him when I was 30. Right before I was 30, because I had him in January. I turned 30 in October. That's why I couldn't figure it out. So none of this mattered to me. It's not that it didn't matter to me, but I was busy. I was busy. Okay. I didn't have time for this. And by the way, this is what old people did, is talked about politics. I'm 61 and I guess now old. So anyways, 33 is catching up. Oh Lord. Yes. And, on Valentine's Day, Richard turned 63. 64. OM gosh. He turned 64. I didn't know it was 64. I thought it was 63. 64. Wow. 64. All right. So let me see if I have anything else here. And then I'll talk about Thursdays. All right. So no, I don't have anything else that I was going to share about. So Thursday, starting this. So this last week, I was going to start my first one. I know it. It is very weird being the same age as old people. Yes, and Kaylee says, happy birthday, Richard. Happy birthday from Fairy Dust, too. So Thursdays, I believe, is the day that I'm going to start doing my weekday, more of the topic driven like this, okay? Sundays, I would like to not do this. I would like, meaning more of the heavier stuff. I would like to do something fun or just chat. I see there's, we've maybe had 8 people in the room today. And I know that these topics, and that is not why I do this, by the way. It's important topic. It's an important topic to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't spend the time putting together this show. And so, and if only 8 people hear it, at least there's 8 people, that we get to talk about this stuff together and know that we are not alone, that there's other people who may have, even though we may not all have exactly the same thoughts and ideas about this, we know that there's other people who care about us. And I care about you. My goal is that everybody know to the best of their ability and to the length that they want to know, what's going on in their world, and maybe they see it a little differently, and that's okay. But I know that this world in this country, the country that I'm a member of, is on fire. I believe we are on fire right now, and that there is bad stuff going on behind the scenes, and potentially some of this other stuff is to throw us off. I would hate to think there would be derailment for that purpose. I don't know that that's true, but I think opportunities are never lost. And an opportunity to send you off in this direction or that direction, why not? Stuff happens. And so Thursdays, it's going to be more topic driven. And at least once a month, on Thursdays, I'm going to the topic will be our Bill of Rights. We're going to go through everything. I'm going to go through it. And if you want to come along, I would love to have you come along with me. And I'd like to hear, because you're going to know ahead of time, because we're going to go through everything 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's the best. See, that's how I learn. So that's the only way I can present it. And so we will start looking at our founding documents, and there's so many things. I was in a conversation with somebody recently who's a very bright person. There's no reason. And there was something basic, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but something so basic they didn't understand about our Constitution. And it scares me to think that these are grown-up people who vote for somebody based on things that aren't necessarily potentially in their best interest. And understanding what our rights are is imperative. Very structured will be nice. Yes, ma'am. So what we'll do is we'll read that amendment or whatever it is. I won't do a lot of reading. The goal is to kind of take it piecemeal. Now, see, when I learned to stop drinking, on my desk is my area's a mess back here. I'm so sorry. There's a book that I use called Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a book that I've read about 100 times. I've read it. I learned to read it one line at a time, one word at a time. And guess what? I was taught to read the first page that's blank. And the reason I was told to read that page and be clear about it is because it said, what you see on there is exactly what you know about how to not drink and live life. And they were right. And then when I went to college, same thing. It was one thing at a time. So that's how I learned best. So that's how you'll get it presented to you. So last week, though, was a not good week for me. Did you know they want to do away with our Constitution, Bill of Rights? Everything that our founding fathers created for us, those evildoers want to do away with it all. Unbelievable. I know that. I have heard that many times over. And someone I love very much thinks that we need a whole new Constitution because it was written so long ago. It's not pertinent to today. It's not pertinent to today. So that's the kind of thing that frightens me personally. Some kids can't read the Constitution and other important documents from that era because they're not taught cursive writing. I hope they at least being taught. I would like to know. So I'm in a good position to find that out. Oops. Sorry. Because I've got 2 grandnephews that are in the Springfield School District, which is our neighbor. And I've got a bunch of little grandnephews and niece in the Eugene School District. And so I will see if the parents can reflect what their kids are being taught in the grade school level. Now, my son was taught, he had to get a cursive license in 3rd grade. He had to get the cursive license. And it was, it was very interesting. Fairy Dust, I'll bring my notes. Thank you. We are going to need notes. Kaylee, it also, oh yes. Okay. So that was what I just read. So anyways, that's my goal, is on Thursdays to start doing some reading of our founding documents. Maybe there'll be another topic, but really, truly, it's being pressed upon my heart. It would be so much easier just to come on Sundays and do fun Sundays with Lucretia. And that's it. I can't do it. Not right now. I can't. There's too much going on. And I believe that based on what I'm seeing and what I'm reading and the deeper that I dig, and the places I ask questions, my government should be able to answer my question about if we get a radiation exposure, what's the plan in my neighborhood? And it's not okay that they don't have a plan, or that these grandnieces and nephews, there's not a direct plan that the school district knows about. So I don't know, just things that I think about in my off time. All right, so that's the plan, is Thursdays I will be here with some kind of founding document, and I'm looking forward to that extremely. And my son-in-law at some point, my goal and his goal potentially is to chat together on here. We have to talk about it a little deeper. He's extremely smart fella, and he may see things even a little differently than I see them. But we talk about it, and at least that information is being generated between us. We have conversations about these things all the time, and I'm glad that I've got other person who likes to talk about that stuff, because nobody else does in my family, not my immediate where I live family. All right. So anyways, I'm looking forward to that. I will start doing my research. Well, I've actually got research already going, so it's not like it's a brand new topic to me. And but what I was going to say, don't think I finished. This last week was not a good week for me. I was down in bed a couple days, with a lot of pain, and so I just couldn't. And that will happen, I think those who follow me, the 4 of you, the 6 of you, know that those will be some of the days. Those will be the days, my friends. I thought would never end. Anyways, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you guys. I love you. I really do. I care very much about you. And I'm so glad that I made a connection with YouTube so that I could meet y'all, even though I'm here and you're there. And hopefully I'll get to meet Brene in person this summer. I'm still shooting for that. Following the Yellow Brick Road. Hello, Shirley. I just happened on YouTube and found you doing this live. It's a wonderful endeavor. It's sad that they are not teaching true history of our country in schools anymore. From what I can tell, it doesn't feel like it to me. It doesn't look like it. And I think just as parents can look at the what their kids are being taught. They can look at lesson plans. They can find out things. I'm curious if, as a person who lives in this, I live in the Bethel. There's 3 local school districts. I'm in the Bethel district. Then there's the Eugene School District, and then there's the Springfield School District. And I am really curious if I have access to just, what do you teach, let's say, a 3rd grader today about American history? Where are you? I remember Brent being taught about the trail, the Oregon Trail, and coming out here. And that was really cool because he had ancestors that came here in 1846 to this community and on a wagon train. And we've been to the property. They got land grants, 240-acre land grant that they developed northwest of here, about 20 miles. I can only imagine back in the day. And they're buried up on top of what is now a beautiful Christmas tree farm. But I've put pictures of this place out, and it overlooks the Willamette Valley northward. It's gorgeous up there, but it's like steep like this. And I was thinking, how did they get those wagon trains up here when, because there's like a handful of people buried on top of this hill. I mean, it wasn't a Christmas tree farm back then. It was just a hill. And we're talking 1800s people buried up there. So anyways, totally off topic, but yes, ma'am, you are right, Shirley. And so starting on Thursdays, I'm going to start doing a chat about our founding documents. I need to get clear about things. I don't know if anybody else does, but I do. I need to understand these better, because I don't want somebody telling me I have a right that I don't have, or I don't have a right. Like people will say, oh, well, you can do this and this and this. You don't have to pay taxes. You can just, I don't think that's true. I mean, go ahead and not pay him and get into trouble with the IRS. But yes, censorship is not used for political or religious indoctrination. Education should be fact-based. Yes, that's true. Here's the deal. And I'll tell you this, Kaylee, if I had Brent today, if I was having a child today, I would homeschool, and I would still have him involved in activities outside of the home. I would not put my kid in a public school right now. I think it's that compromised. And I say that with sadness, because it should not be this way. I know you're at 4:00 on Thursdays. How about if I do mine I'll do mine at 2:30 or 2:30 on Thursdays. Dang it. I will choose another day, because I'm very flexible. I'll do it on Wednesdays. I'm going to do Wednesdays at 3:00. Wednesdays at 3:00. I need to write that down so I don't forget the date and time I just said. Wednesdays at 3. So that's what I'll do. Wednesdays at 3, not Thursdays. And I do know there's also a bigger channel that has a live stream on Sundays at 4:00. I've probably picked the wrong time to be doing a live stream. You know, I need to show you something before I leave, though. I am very, Krisha, Kaylee, everyone, blessings, better days, be good humans, good night. Yes, ma'am. Good night to you too, sweetheart. Thank you for coming. I just want to share something with you. From the channel side of this, I meant to do housekeeping first. And I got sidetracked because that picture was horrible. It was frightening. Channel analytics. I just want to go here for a moment. So this is where we're at. I'm now at 1,467. Oh, I was at 1,468 before this live stream, and I've lost a person. Okay, which doesn't mean it was because of this live stream. But guess what? I'm okay with losing. If I were to get even smaller than 1,467, I'm okay with that, because I can only do what's true for me. And I did start out as a travel channel, which I still intend on doing. And I'm sorry for hitting my chest, because I know I'm not used to having this little microphone on. But anyways, let me get through this first. Here we go with squirrels. 1,467. So I was at 1,468 earlier today. And as you can see, it's just, I was at 1,450 on January 22nd. So a little less than a month ago. So it's gained, it gained 18, lost 1. And so just steadily moving upwards. I do think it's very possible that by December of next year, I would like to be at 2,000. That's just, it's not a giant goal. It's, you know, it's a little more than 500, but it's a doable, you know, it's a doable. All right. So that let me make sure. Wednesdays are full, but Tuesdays and Thursdays. How about so Tuesdays? I'll try to, I will pay attention. 2:30 on Thursday. Okay. Okay. I mean because that's what I was thinking when I remembered. Yes, I know. And I know you do yours at 4:00. I usually have to watch it after the fact, but I enjoy watching your live streams. Wednesdays are full, but Tuesdays and Thursdays, not too full. Okay. All right. So we'll just stay with Thursday at 2:30, and we will, no matter what, we will go at about an hour, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but we will not infringe on Shirley. Thursday 2:30. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Tuesdays Tuesday is Johnny's Journey, but it's later. Yes, Johnny's is in the evening time, at least here. It's like 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, something like that. I usually just turn on my TV and watch while I'm doing stuff on my phone. All right. So that's what's happening. I'm excited about it. And I would love that, you know, you could pass this around and share it. I'm going to do a thumbnail before then. Probably a short little video about what I'm going to be doing and inviting people to come along for the ride. And I really, even if it stays 6 people, I'll live with that. Because I know these are not the topics so many people want to hear about, but there's a couple people. So, anyways, all right, you guys, I love you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and make sure that you find a way to live your own joyous life, because it's out there and it's waiting for us all. All right, and you are doing it, Shirley, already. All right, talk to you later.